so many ideas going on in this project, but it's just the start.
Good design is all about creating that moment of bliss.
This is really also the hospitality and the tourism of tomorrow.
This is what we want to show.
We have created something which blends into the environment, and the house itself is basically seamless.
Imagine you were able to just teletransport.
You are on your own island in the center of Amsterdam.
I think you have to go there to believe it.
Our next project is the north wing of a hospital in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's been designed by a team headed by Link Arkitektur with 3XN, Nicky and Partners and Christine Jensen's Tegnes Tue. Congratulations on winning the health category in these awards, and over to you for the presentation.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We're very pleased to be here and excited to be presenting our winning project to the World Architecture Festival once again. My name is Michael from Link Arkitektur, and with me is Stig Gothild from 3XN. Our two companies have worked closely together on the design and construction of Copenhagen's newest hospital, the new North Wing at Rigshopitalet. Rigshopitalet is Denmark's leading hospital, and the building that we're presenting contains the primary functions for the Center of Head and Orthopedics. The building is roughly 70,000 square meters, and it sits on a narrow plot on the edge of Copenhagen's largest park, Fælledparken. The North Wing is the current main part of a development program for this hospital, also comprising a new patient hotel and a parking facility. The three projects have all been designed by our team and make up a total of 110,000 square meters.
When we approach healthcare architecture, we have this diagram that we always try to look into. And this one is about, traditionally, when hospital architecture was designed, it was about making a space, a bed ward for the patient. And then you had the machine that did the operation. It's not like that anymore. Now we really need to care about the patient. We need to build this social framework around it so that you can have your family there, so that you can have occasional meetings, so that you are not disrupted in your life, but that you still have these elements which you have in your home, that we bring these elements to the hospital. And then the cultural part is also what we see getting more and more important, that the architecture also reflects the organization, that it reflects the values of these people in the hospital, and that it is having an identity that has the right expression for the patient meeting the hospital the first time. When we started to do this competition in 2012, we had this challenge that it's a very urban hospital. So how do you put so many square meters in a really tight site and make a very efficient hospital out of it? So to connect the hospital, we twisted every second of these volumes. So we got one connected hospital, and from all areas in this hospital, that leads to that you get daylight, you get views to the exterior, and you can always orientate yourself to the location outdoor. By doing this, we also got one continuous building that then starts to scale down to meet the context, and also to break down this pretty big volume. But overall, we get this hospital that is very extrovert, looking at the existing hospital, bringing in daylight, bringing out the views towards nature, and creating always very good daylight conditions, which also then brings down the use of indoor electrical light. From the Fælledparken, as Mika just mentioned before, it stands out here, and then the zigzag creates a broken down scale in the geometries, so that it more stands out like three buildings, and then the base connecting it in the bottom part. When you arrive to the hospital, we have a semi-public kind of plaza in front that you go through, and then you get into a big street corridor where you're really easy to navigate, and you have the reception. Daylight is evident all over the building, so we use it also in the internal atriums, bring it down from above, in this case here, in an atrium. But also in all rooms, we have this infinity window where the window continues up above the lower ceiling, and it's kind of embraced. So we get these moments and these small niches in all windows, in all typologies. This is a patient room right at the corner with a really, really nice view. But we also have the same condition on the operation room. Of course, in most cases, this is blacked out when there is operations going on. But then there's all the preparation on the rooms for the staff, the cleaning personnel. So because of that, there's daylight into all rooms. This is a normal treatment room.
Another essential aspect to creating a successful hospital is understanding the staff needs and hence the daily workflows. If staff workflows and logistics work well, it affects the total experience for all visitors to the hospital and creates clarity and ease of movement for all. The building's overall layout provides clarity, starting with the main access point. It provides for easy wayfinding, starting with a clearly marked and welcoming entrance. As opposed to a traditional courtyard hospital, the zigzag structure provides advantages. If stretched, this hospital would demand large walking distances, and instead it provides the overall concept of a linear service corridor combined with a zigzag ward structure. It not only separates workflows, but also makes space for an extrovert interaction with its surroundings, increased daylight and views. The main corridor, also referred to as the building's logistical spine, it spans the full length of the building and provides short distances between wards and specializations located within the zigzag structure. The corridor is high-paced and efficient versus wards that in turn are more private. This provides flexibility and easy access points throughout. It makes for effective working conditions for staff while ensuring unwanted disturbance of patients. The corridor connects to social zones, which have views to surroundings and ample daylight. Like a street with intimate plazas, it's easily understood structure for staff, patients, and visitors alike. Intuitive wayfinding is at the core of this project. Here we see the central flow, the spine, which provides efficiency throughout the hospital like a backbone of the structure. The zigzag interconnects with the spine to allow for an easy flow between bed wards, treatment facilities, outpatient clinics, and public zones. Here we have a view along the backbone corridor with views towards the park on the right and a public atrium on the left. And similarly, an opposite situation along the spine with views towards the city and another atrium on the left. Each floor has its dedicated color scheme and provides for intuitive wayfinding with a minimal need for signposting. It's efficient and provides each floor with a clear identity. A quick view on the ground floor plan, creating calm, semi-public entrance areas feeding into the building backbone. On this level is public spaces, imagery departments, and administrative functions. This is a recent aerial photo of the building showcasing the base with the zigzag structure containing bed wards on top. On a higher level, the structure contains outpatient clinics and private patient rooms. In our work, it's been essential to provide for a flexible building structure and a layout that can be adapted if and when needs change for future flexibility. The intelligent layout provides daylight to almost every room in the hospital and gives staff the opportunity to carry out their work in optimal conditions. We work with the design of this hospital as an integrated design project. The building itself is treated as both a technical, logistical, and aesthetical piece and successfully combines an optimized workspace for thousands of staff, a state-of-the-art treatment facility, and a building that offers architectural qualities to its surroundings.
In this hospital specifically, we have also tried really to focus on how to integrate art and architecture. Of course, to some extent, the building is a sculpture by itself. It also has these big columns right at the center of the building. But there is quite a few art pieces. The building itself has this play with shadow, so there's a three-dimensionality within the building. It's an Italian stone that has been used to clad the facade, Eurogel. And then it's pointed in one direction in the base and another direction in the top, which gives this play with the daylight. In the front, there's an art piece of here in the front, where how this is a kind of interpretation of how the patient meets the hospital, this unknown kind of piece. What we try is to do something that is looking less scary, but doing a really nice building with a nice identity, with a friendly face that really welcomes you inside. Then artists, when we use art, we use it for a purpose. This is to screen the interior. It's a Eve, and it has this kind of translucence. It has this biophilia aspect to it as well, filtering the light into a waiting area. Erik Fransen has done this, one of the stairs in the building, where 2 million small tiles has been assembled in Italy and brought to this stair, and then they are continuing on the underside in the full height of the building. The other stair is decorated by Malene Landgren, and it's a really, really big painting that stretches up through the whole building. And then our wayfinding strategy is having these colors, and they then start to correspond with that painting up through the building. So there's a play of both aesthetics and more kind of straightforward things. And in that way, we have tried to integrate art to make it have a purpose and still to stand out as individual and strong as possible as anchor points. There's a mobile here by Olaf Eliassen also hanging down in one of the atriums. I think that's more or less our time that has run out now. Stop. But
thank you very much indeed.
So,
thank you. Great presentation. I'm going to ask Nuno to start. Nuno.
Hi. I think this building comes in a series of several that are going to happen now in Scandinavia related to this typology of buildings, because I've understood that there was a period of time there was a lot of competitions for it. It is nice to see. I think for a long time the hospitals, especially hardcore hospitals of this type, were more designed by specialists, architects on this kind of buildings. There were more technicians than actually architects. Very much there was very little architecture done on these buildings those days. So it is nice to see that now offices like the 3x Nielsen are able to work on these projects and put much more architecture on it and create much more pleasant environments, that we are not thinking on it just like a machine of like stitching people together, but it's a bit more. Could you tell us a bit more about that program that's going on in Scandinavia to regenerate and build new hospitals for the future?
Yeah, it was a thing that emerged, I think it was back there in 2010, that there was a big funding for new hospitals all over Denmark to create super hospitals. So there was a big collection of regional hospitals, smaller ones, and they should then combine into bigger hospitals and new facilities to get all the specialities in place, so that you have much more specialities collected at one place instead of going from one hospital to the other. So because of that, there's of course been a whole new kind of strategy towards how to design these super hospitals. And it's going on now. I think there's still a lot of building of hospitals still going on. Michael, maybe you can go a little in that.
No, definitely. There's a lot of hospitals going on still, and we're working on. We're lucky enough to work on a lot of them. But I think, like Nuno, what you said, it's one of the things that we've been successful at in the Nordic countries over the past few decades, is transforming the hospitals from this sort of machine approach of just curing a patient, spitting them out the other end, and then moving on to the next, and into rather making them into pieces of architecture that have to work in the context, but also have to provide much more than just a treatment machine for the patients.
It also comes out of this kind of more soft approach towards sustainability. Of course, it lives up to the Danish building regulations, and it is a very sustainable building. But it also has all these soft, sustainable things. To architecture shapes behavior, of kind of our kind of motto. And in terms of hospitals, it's about making the best conditions for healing, and we really believe have a safe environment where you can rest and you can feel good. Is the best environment to heal in, definitely.
Thank you very much. Abdelkader, would you like to make a comment or ask a question?
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting building, in fact, and I was wondering during your presentation in the beginning, I was asking myself, so why do they all the time use just white color inside? And after in the second part, you talked about the participation of artists, which is a good balance. But still, I'm thinking about the place of the color inside the hospitals. By the way, because some of your rooms and your corridors are beautiful museums, in fact, because, because it will be very, very challenging for me to hang all the collection of the frag there, because it's done for that. It looks like a museum of landscape and a museum for people, which is very, very, very nice idea. So I want you to answer, perhaps to tell us more about the use of the colors inside, and how did you manage to work with the artists? Did you work with them from the beginning of the project, or you just give them a place at the end, telling them, okay, try to do something for this stair, or try to do something for this corridor, etc. So just and very,
It
very
was,
interesting.
I mean, in terms of the artists, it was really something that was in the second phase of the competition. We made a strategy for how to integrate art in this hospital. After we won the competition, a art committee was established, and we tried to see what is the purpose of the art. I mean, how can we get it in as strong as possible? Because if it comes in too late, it tends to often, get a little bit under hierarchical. It gets under the kind of the building. It needs to be at the same level, so to speak. And I think it really succeeded here. And then we gave areas to the artists, and they could choose how to work with these areas. So it's not like you have to work with the underside of the stair, but they got this atrium. What would you do with that? And that was kind of the task that they were given. And then, of course, there's a dialogue on how it can work with materials, how in terms of cleaning, it needs to be, of course, there's some specialties about requirements for surfaces and materials inside hospitals, of course, that needs to be met. And then on the same time, we made this wayfinding strategy with the colors, which was also done really early. And so the artists could start to work together with this. And we have a more kind of cold colors in the lower floors, and then the higher we get to the bed wards in the top, where the more home-like areas, the more warmer the areas gets, and that's what's then reflected in this beautiful painting by Malene Landgren.
Thank you very much, Christina.
I'm just going to ask a general question about hospital design, because it's something I don't do, but hospital is essentially a mixture between a hotel and a home. Some people will be there for a day, and some people will be there for a year. How does that manifest itself for the residents, for the long-term residents versus the short-term residents? Is this something that you need to address, or you did address in this project, or is this not a subject?
I mean, it's when you do hospitals, they need to be super flexible in terms of requirements for staff and stuff like that, and for specialities change all the time. So in that sense, it is a more generic framework. In general, I think you're hospitalized for 7 days. That's kind of is that that's more or less it, right?
I think it might even be lower.
Yeah, 4 to 7 days, and that's the average. And it is a hotel room, and by the flexibility in it, we of course you can outfit more flexible each of these rooms, but all the bed wards are more or less the same. But of course they are fitted out, so there's kitchens and all that kind of stuff in all neighborhoods. But there's no diversity in terms of your long time here and your short time here, because that's not how a hospital works. You have specialities, and within that, then you get patients that suddenly needs to be for a long time. So it's a little bit hard to accommodate this.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. May I ask a final question, which is to do with changing technology in hospitals and changing, one might say, trends or fashions on the part of doctors and surgeons and what it is that they say they want. I wonder, as architects, how much flexibility or adaptability is it possible to design into a new project when maybe in 5 years' time the equipment may be different and medical trends may be different?
I mean, the honest answer is we don't know what will be needed of this building structure in 5 years' time, but we try and design things in a way where that we keep the highest level of flexibility possible. And one small thing could be like creating the ability to have large equipment coming into the building, because it's a very hands-on challenge, like scanning equipment and stuff like that needs to be able to enter the building, and we don't know what the future needs will be, but we try and create a structure that's as flexible as possible.
When this hospital was inaugurated in the early spring of 2000, it was just before the corona outbreak in Copenhagen. And what happened was that the most eastern part of the building was changed into the first corona facility in Copenhagen. And it was easy adaptable. So it is, a hospital needs to be as flexible and almost as an office space, because you don't know the future. And for this corona situation, it worked really well, and they could just move it in directly with the incubators and so forth.
Well, that's good to hear. Congratulations on winning your category, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, it was a pleasure.